What's good, family? I'm back with another video. Now today I'm going to be reacting to Thomas Sowell warning about DEI. I know y'all love when I do the Thomas Sowell videos, and I love the comments in the Thomas Sowell videos. So maybe one day I'll go live with y'all and we can have a debate about it. You know what I'm saying? You can have a debate with a socialist. Sorry, I'm not okay. I'm not really a socialist. I'm more of a I'm in the middle, I'm in the middle of conservatism and progressive. I'm like really in the middle. That's most Americans stand anyway. Most of them stand in the middle. But yeah, every time I react to a Thomas Sowell video, I feel like he seems like a very intelligent person. I just got done reading his book, the book that I watched, that the intellectuals. It was like intellectuals and I forgot what it was called, but intellectual something. I just got done reading it a couple days ago. We just have a difference of opinion on things. Just being honest, we just have a difference of opinion on things. But most people who study economics will have a difference of opinion on other people who study economics. Most people who believe in Keynesian economics don't believe in capital. Don't believe in supply side economics. I'll say that. Most people believe in, I don't know if you guys know what that is, most people believe in Keynesian economics, don't believe in supply side economics. Most people who agree with DEI disagree with DEI, and they have all their reasons on why they disagree with it. But this is about DEI. I don't want to talk too much about economics. But definitely, anyways. Well, let's just dive into the video. Subscribe, make sure turn post notifications, smash that like button up, and watch this video all the way through. Appreciate you. And let's hop right into it. I ain't got no time to waste. Let's go.
Multiculturalism has not only taken root in schools, I think it is uncritically accepted by a lot of Americans, haven't thought it through. In this book, you assault it head on. You describe it as a barrier to progress and a lot of other things. Explain why multiculturalism, if you would, is bad.
I guess it starts from a false premise, which is that there's something that all cultures are equal in some undefinable sense, which has never been the case. I mean, some cultures are better at some things, worse at other things. At particular times in history, one group's culture may be ascendant, and another time another group's. But what you almost never see is what they assume is a norm, namely all groups performing pretty much the same in all kinds of fields across the board. That you can go through centuries of history without finding a single example of that.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Like, I agree with that. That every culture has its differences and performs differently. My thing is, though, the way we've shaped the world now, it's seeming as though we're trying to get everybody to fall under a certain pattern, more of like Western society. And I don't know. I didn't see the maybe they'll go a little further, but I didn't see the issue with multiculturalism. I don't see how that's intellectuals and race. This is what I was reading. I read something else too. It was more of it was an economics book. But okay, let's see. I don't see how that makes multiculturalism a problem. I think I get what he's saying. But I think the reason why that happens is because when cultures meet other cultures and we unify ourselves amongst each other, like America's a really good example of this. People will come over here as immigrants, right? And then years later, like 2 generations down the line, maybe even 1 generation, they're just as American as everybody else is. They become a part of the culture. I guess I'm gonna just leave it at that for right now. Let me see what else he says. But let's keep going.
Multiculturalism is an insistence that the particular cultures found among less fortunate groups are not to be blamed for disparities in income or education or crime rates, but are a net positive.
Yeah.
Close quote. Explain that.
You can't find any fault with any group that is less fortunate. There are no behaviors that they need to change in order to advance. Society needs to accept them as they are. In other words, the causes are to remain the same, but the effects are to change. And if the effects don't change, then it's society's fault.
That's an interesting point. I can see what he's saying with that. I definitely can see what he's saying with that. I understand that. I get that point. Makes sense.
No, but it's fascinating that I see this happening in all sorts of issues, from Federal Reserve policies on across the board, that you say, here's this wonderful program, and it will do wonderful things, and the burden of proof is on others to show that it will not do those things. And no matter how long it's been going on, it's never long enough. If it failed, there just wasn't enough commitment. The budget wasn't big enough, should have had a larger staff, wider powers, but there is never any sense of a burden of proof on you to say, when you've made this change that has caused such furor in this country and has gotten people at each other's throats, including people who have been allies in the past, such as the blacks and the Jews, there is never any sense of a need for you to advance the empirical evidence to support what you've been doing.
Oh, on the contrary, Dr. Sowell, I'm perfectly willing to have other people collect the empirical evidence. That's not my bag. But I'm perfectly happy to subject the affirmative action policies to reasonable statistical evaluation, given a sufficient period.
Well, what is a sufficient? Because you said for a bit, and now we talk about a sufficient period, and I have difficulty with these. What temporal units are we talking about?
I would say
decades?
I would think of 20 to 25 years.
Y'all want to know something interesting? And I want y'all to answer this in the comment section. How do we fix the problems of... How do we fix the problem in society? You could say fatherlessness is the problem, right? I know that's what most conservatives will say. But how do we fix the issues of inequality in society? How do you explain the disparity between minority groups and the minority groups in society and their ability to be able to function properly in society? How do you explain it, right? This is talking about DEI. He's warning about DEI, but if you research DEI, what's interesting about it, because he's talking about the blacks and the Jews, DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion programs. And I don't know if you guys know this, but those programs help veterans, which are overwhelmingly white men. They help white women. They help gays. They help trans people. They help disabled people, older people. DEI is not just for black people, okay? I just want to make that clear, because one of his arguments, he brought up the Jews and he brought up blacks. And I think that if you have a society that's hostile to certain groups of people, it makes it a lot more complicated for those people to get out of society and function properly. And with their hostility, sometimes it even makes it even harder for those people to get hired. I'm gonna leave that point in there for a reason, but let's keep going. It's got more worse thing. 25 minutes.
Those Hispanics who grew up speaking English are going onward and upward. And moreover, apparently the parents see this, because the Hispanic parents are not as gung-ho for bilingualism as the activists are, because they want their kids to go somewhere in this world. It's more satisfying to believe that the problems of the Hispanics are caused by the non-Hispanics, and that you can attack them and so on. And one of the things that got to me about Obama, the man was a community activist. I think most people have no idea what that means. It means that you go out there and polarize people, and you get them to blame somebody else. And the problem is not that somebody else will feel indignant. That's a passing problem. The passing problem is the people you claim to be helping are going to be worse off for not doing the things that they could, that are perfectly within their capability. This notion of multiculturalism.
I 1000% agree with him on what a community activist is, and I hope you guys would too. That a community activist is somebody who just gets somebody to blame somebody else. That's not 1000% at all what community activists go out and do. Community activists are all across the board in all different areas. They're trying to bring attention to an issue that's coming from a specific community. In a sense, the KKK are technically community activists. Technically. Like, but that's a terrible example. Conservative groups, Fox News, some of the Fox News wing pundits, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Thomas, these are technically community activists. Technically. They're bringing attention to problems that are coming from certain communities and trying to help build those communities up. That's a community activist. That was a backwards statement. I don't know where he got that from, but I don't know. I could be wrong though. Let's go.
It's something that's just simply not put to the test. And if you put it to the test, it collapses like a house of cards. One of the remarkable stories that doesn't seem to get much attention is the story of the New Englanders who came down south after the Civil War to educate the children of the freed slaves. And what they brought was a New England culture, which was radically different from the Southern culture. And there were these little tiny New England enclaves. And in those tiny enclaves, a wholly disproportionate share of all the future black leaders came.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what
No,
conditions.
no, you can't get it. You can't. No.
Once again, intellectualism, race. The key word among advocates of multiculturalism became diversity. Sweeping claims for the benefits of demographic and cultural diversity have prevailed without a speck of evidence being asked for or given. Name a few institutions in which diversity is championed without evidence.
Gosh, the question would be, name one way where that isn't the case. I would say the whole Ivy League, Stanford, Berkeley.
Corporate America?
Yes. It's really miraculous almost. I mean, I can't think of a word that has gained such widespread use and which is utterly unchallenged without one speck of evidence. If you look at societies that are diverse, they have all they can do to avoid mutual bloodshed. I mean, India, for example, is very diverse, and you know
It barely coheres as a nation.
That's right. When India was given its freedom by Britain and split into India and Pakistan, I mean, the number of people slaughtered between Hindus and Muslims ran into the hundreds of thousands.
All right.
Wait, what was the point that he made there? He said India was diverse, and when the British, I guess, left, slaughtered hundreds of thousands. Like, I'm confused on his point there, to be honest. I'm extremely confused on his point. I don't understand where he was going with that. I really don't. I don't understand how that tied into multiculturalism. And what we have to accept in society is that multiculturalism is going to happen no matter what. Like, different cultures are going to connect. It's just, how do we get different cultures to connect and not be in a hostile way? All right, let's go on.
You say that assumption, in fact, holds different groups down. You write, quote, multiculturalism, like the caste system, paints people into the corner where they happen to have been born, but at least the caste system doesn't claim to benefit those at the bottom.
Absolutely. So when the multiculturalists say, for example, that the school should not try to make black students speak standard English, the difference between speaking standard English and not speaking standard English can be huge in terms of your job, your careers, and all sorts of other things.
So tell me how it's changed. You've had a remarkable academic career. You've written 35 books. You've taught at the most prestigious universities in the world. I don't think you grew up in a family where that was going to be expected. I don't think your dad was a college professor. How was your education different from the education kids are receiving now?
It was better. That's the straight answer. I went to school in Harlem, but even if you went to school in Harlem in the 1940s and you were in one of the better classes, because they did have ability grouping throughout the system, you got a very good education that would enable you to go anywhere. Some years ago, someone at Forbes Trieste said that it was remarkable that I come out of the Harlem schools and went on to these universities. It was not that unusual. In fact, someone who lived about 3 blocks from me in Harlem sent me a letter, said, my gosh, and this at one tenement, we had a college professor, a priest, a doctor, and a lawyer when this fellow was growing up. So this was not that unusual. Now, those avenues upward are simply not there.
Now, what was the difference, if you could put a point on it? What did your teachers teach you or not teach you that allowed you, and it sounds like other people on your block, not a rich area, to succeed?
First of all, they taught us the English language. They taught us the standard academic subjects. They were not teaching us, the tree hugging. They were not teaching us how to use condoms. They were not teaching us to be victims. And they held us to the same standards that they held other kids to. My whole career, I was...
All right. I think that was a very pointless video. Didn't prove why DEI is bad. Didn't prove any of that. And diversity, equity, and inclusion programs do not teach those things. Like, they don't. They teach people how to be more accepting of other people's perspectives. That's what they do. Right? So maybe they do. Actually, I take that back. They do. Oh, I don't know about condoms, though. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Like, does the LGBT... No, it does. LGBT community does have something to do with DEI, yeah. So I get his point. On that. Like kids don't... I don't know, man. I'm on the fence with this, man. I'm on the fence with DEI, y'all. Y'all tell me in the comment section what y'all think. I'm really on the fence with it because I understand why it exists. And I honestly, since Trump started... I'm going to be honest, and people are not going to like what I'm about to say, but this is true. I haven't really been that focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And when I started going into it, what I learned that it helps veterans. So... when I started learning to help veterans, disabled people, older people, in my mind I was like, oh, it sounds good, it's helping certain groups of people who wouldn't be able to get certain jobs or certain qualifications, even though they're just as qualified as somebody else, based on a problem that they have within themselves, like a disability or the fact that they're a woman. Like, some jobs wouldn't hire them because they just can't relate to them, like I'm experiencing that right now, how people treat women in the workforce, and it's not good, but we're moving towards something better. But I don't know, like, you guys tell me in the comment section what you guys think. I definitely think Thomas Sowell, at some points in the video he hinted towards DEI, and other points in the video I feel like he was just mostly talking about multiculturalism, which DEI and multiculturalism are different. They are different, and I'm not going to tell you. Research it yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, smash that like button up. All right.